for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com. This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
I was watching the timeline on Twitter yesterday as I was trying to get ready for the week and guest and much more. And then I saw Eric Sondheimer from the LA Times. Eric, I hope I said the name correctly. He had been covering high school football and sports in Southern Cal for nearly 50 years, 48 to be exact, and a comment that he had about Nico Iamaleava, who's now back in California at UCLA. You saw him when he was young, saw his stardom rise. Thank you very much, by the way, for your time with us today. So what did you know about Nico, and what are your thoughts? You've seen him when he was a great young player, still might be great, we don't know, and where he is now.
He's certainly a great athlete. At 6'6", he was a tremendous volleyball player. He can run, he can throw, and he can lead. He's been at a couple high schools during his high school career. His coach at Warren and Downey was Kevin Pearson, who coached Bryce Young at Cathedral for his first couple years. And Kevin tells me he expects him to be a top 10 NFL pick next in another year. So he clearly has the talent. Certainly he's in the media spotlight and the fan spotlight because of his decision to transfer. But I think we'll all learn a little bit more when he decides to talk a little bit. And I have no idea when that's going to happen. UCLA, I was at their practice last Friday. They refused to discuss anything. They wouldn't even let Joey Aguilar, who was going to be the starter, even talk, and now he's leaving. So we're in a real big mess in college football and other sports, and we just have to go with the flow and see where it turns out.
Would it be fair, I mean, this is us from the outside saying it, to categorize Big Nick Iamaleava as a helicopter parent?
His father definitely controls things. His younger brother was at Warren High School last season. He didn't like something, and he flat out transferred him to Long Beach Poly, and we never saw him again because they were in violation of transfer rules. So he does what he thinks is right. He does what he thinks is best for his family. And he's done this, I think, to bring him back to Southern California. You know, his mother had a scare with cancer beforehand. So maybe he needs to be back here closer. But clearly he didn't do it solely for money because he was making more money at Tennessee, and UCLA does not have that money. So it will be interesting to see exactly how he talks about it, what he wants to accomplish. Clearly, he's an NFL prospect, but everybody's going to watch and wait and see what he can do at UCLA, which does not have the talent that Tennessee has. But they still have a decent talent. Their offensive line should be experienced, but that doesn't mean it will be good.
Eric, I know LA is a pro sports town. So Southern California, though, just sports obsessed. How much does something like this kind of register and make a splash in sports circles, this topic, this player from that area, and also coming to UCLA, a program that certainly doesn't get a ton of attention necessarily on the gridiron, but now is getting more attention than they probably have in the last 5 years?
I think it'll be a big impact for the Big Ten in general because there's so many good teams and so many good players, and he just adds to it. It probably would have made a bigger plus if he had gone to USC, which obviously has a little more credentials as a football program in LA. But it certainly is going to help UCLA because there really was no one player to sell. As I was at this Friday night practice, nobody really stood out. So clearly they didn't have anybody to sell, and they immediately on Sunday after they announced that he had committed, sent out an email to UCLA fans telling them that Nico had arrived, come out and buy season tickets. So they're clearly trying to take advantage of this. But I think this has more national implications. People are talking about more than LA. A lot of people in LA knew who Nico was, and they like him. They think, and the players around here who have played against him think he's a good person. And I think he'll help UCLA.
Yeah, a lot of times the story is about what Paul brought up, his father or whatever, the group or whoever's managing him. It would be interesting to hear from him. What do you think we'll find out, Eric? What do you think he'll say? Or is he kind of quiet and we may not hear much from him?
We're talking about Nico, the player.
Yeah.
I think he will love to talk and explain his thinking involved. Again, if a parent is still heavily involved, and I covered LeVar Ball and the Ball brothers, and that was 10 times different than compared to this. Mr. Ball let his sons talk whatever and do whatever they wanted. He let them rise and fall with their own talking, which was the most interesting time I've ever been as a high school writer. These teenagers being allowed out there in front of all the media, ready to succeed or fail on their own. So that was one approach. And this approach is clear that Nico's father is calling the shots. And we'll see what Nico's able to say. I think he's going to say that he wanted to be closer to his family. He thinks that he can succeed at UCLA, which has hired a lot of pro assistant coaches, and they have a new offensive coordinator who's very highly regarded. And something happened at Tennessee. I have no idea what that was. We may never find out. There's always two sides to a story. And at this time and age, the transfer portal is crazy. There are no rules. So everybody's got to calm down. Until there's rules, anything can happen.
Eric Sondheimer with the LA Times has covered high school sports in the Southern Cal area now for 48 years. And I saw him make a comment on Twitter, and I was like, man, I'm going to reach out to Eric, who responded to me. Good to have you on the show today. Paul, you got anything for Eric? I got a question. You mentioned the olive surrounding. Yeah, here seems to be a good young man, and I don't know how much of this is in his control or not. You wish it all was. What's the reaction for those in California, LA, about what and who he is thought of to be right now?
There's certainly a group of thinking that he is all he cares about is money, and that's been put out because of all the talk around and talk show hosts. But you also have that group that says that wants players to get what they deserve. And so you have this torn going. Our own columnist, Bill Plaskey, said he's toxic, but I would hold off on saying that because you have to be able to talk to him and find out what the true story is. So I'm waiting to hear from him and hear about it. UCLA really does a good job of bringing in individuals that are good people and don't get into trouble. That's Deshaun Foster's culture. He comes from Terry Donahue, the former coach, and they make it you don't see too many UCLA players getting in trouble. Any program with so many people involved in a football program, over 100, somebody will probably get into trouble. But I think that he'll do well. And like I said, a lot of people already know him, so it's not going to be a problem of fitting in. He just has to learn the offense and show that he's a team player. And I think he will. He's not going to get paid more than $2 million like people maybe at Tennessee was getting. And I just hope people don't forget all the whining going on at Tennessee. They're the ones who offered him in high school something like $8 million and broke everything, broke all the standards for what you want in an NIL deal. So I got no sympathy for anybody from Tennessee when they're complaining about him walking away. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, especially when you put it that way. Is UCLA, is this a signal that this is a move that they're starting to care about football in a legitimate way for the first time in a long time?
I doubt that, because I think the basketball program just paid a lot of money for Donovan Dent to come in, several million from New Mexico, who went to school out here. So they had money. The problem with UCLA is they need to get more contributions for their NIL, and they'll be fine. You know, the new NCAA and agreement that's coming up is going to give UCLA $20 million to work with. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how they're going to split that up, but now all the rules are indicating that most schools are going to use it for a majority of football. So we have to see how this arrival is going to, whether it's going to encourage others to donate. And I'm sure if they win, usually when you have a winning program, that encourages people to want to be involved. So I think that's going to be the key. Can he help lift these others? I think UCLA is in the running for one of the Cal running backs who could transfer there. Also, Roderick Pleasant, who was the fastest athlete in California when he graduated high school out here, is now in the transfer portal from Oregon. He's going to make a visit this coming week. If they get him, he's a defensive back, and the Cal running back. I think that would definitely help the team as far as offense is concerned.
You mentioned Bill Plaschke, who's a longtime columnist from the LA Times, but it's it's a pro sports town. We mentioned that earlier. Has this given UCLA a little bit of limelight that they otherwise at this time of the year would get none of it?
Certainly for football wise, it will and has. But again, everybody needs to see what he's capable of coming. The people here do not live and bleed football in the spring like in the South and Texas. I've seen Texas football. It's crazy. It's like the only thing happening. And I admire everybody for their passion and stuff like that. But we just have too many sports going on. We have too much good weather. We have too many good athletes in other sports to be consumed with football all year round. But yes, I agree with you. It's the pros, it's the Rams, it's the Chargers, it's the Lakers. The Dodgers sell out every game.
Yep.
I mean, we have so much to possibly do here in LA. So to try and break through in the spring, I think that's unusual. You're talking about UCLA football because of this, but you have to see what he can do. Just showing up is not going to have people suddenly buy tickets despite UCLA selling that. They want to see what he's going to give.
So UCLA needs more NIL money. They just gave Nico money. I saw, Scott Dockerman with theathletic.com wrote an article about how UCLA could use some money. Is there any controversy at all about the fact that they're paying him the way the amount, even if it's less than he made at Tennessee, which appears to be the case?
I don't think so, because they did pay Joey Aguilar, came from Appalachian, and he was going to be the quarterback until Nico decided to come in. And I'm seeing that Joey Aguilar could end up at Tennessee, so we have a player to be named traded. Maybe UCLA will send a surfboard over with Joey, and Tennessee can send back something else, money or Elvis Presley items. I don't know. Like I said, there are no rules at this point. As long as people can afford it, things will keep going the way they're going. And I can't wait till the NCAA and the lawsuit gets settled, and we'll finally have some rules and structure to see where we're going here. Because right now, I know that word Wild Wild West is being used. It's true. I mean, nobody knows the rules.
Eric, UCLA, USC, they're in the Big Ten, which is also something that's been changed over the last few years because of conference realignment. Cal and Stanford in the ACC, which is kind of still weird. Like the Cal game with NC State's a big deal. No, it's not. But at the same time, what is now a year into it, almost a year into it, what has been the overall barometer of care when it comes to those schools in the new conferences?
That UCLA and USC can't compete in football very high, if we want to be honest about it. I mean, USC thinks that they're a national title contender every year. That's not been proven at all. They're doing a great job with recruiting class of 226. I believe they have 23 commits, but that's not going to help them this coming year. They have to be ready. You need men now to play college football, not freshmen. And the transfer portal has changed all that, because people need an immediate person to come in there and start immediately. And those are the schools that had strong recruiting that are now bringing in these people that are ready. And so that's how I see it. Being in the Big Ten has been good for the schools. You know, UCLA and USC women did great in basketball out of the Big Ten. UCLA did okay for men's basketball and baseball. Right now, UCLA is leading the Big Ten, and softball, UCLA is great in that. And USC is good in women's soccer. So I think they fit in okay, but it's still unknown for football whether they can move up the ladder when you have Ohio State and Michigan and Penn State still at the top.
Yeah, thank you, man. Eric, appreciate your time. Good insight that we did not know a lot about, and that you gave it to us. That's what I thought. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck to you guys.
You too. Eric Sondheimer from the LA Times. 48 years of covering Southern Cal.